What's up guys, this is Shannon and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm trying to do something different. Too many questions are asking about whether is it a good time to buy a property. Understandable, because there are so many options like crypto lah, share market lah, Pokemon cards lah, shoes lah, whatever you like lah, right? In order to answer that, usually everyone will think like, just based on gut feel, right? Which is a very Malaysian thing that I discourage. I don't encourage gut feel first. Instead, these are the methods that I often refer to, and I think it's a good time to share with everybody. For data, what the industry always refers to is this thing called the NAPIC institution, which is the statistical data arm that is responsible to collect all this data. Whether is it legit or not, you can always argue about how they collect data or whatsoever, but that's not the point, right? But that has been the reference all this while for the entire industry for the longest time. So here I did a compilation on all the data for the past 10 years, and this is how it looks like. So on the screen here, what we can see is Malaysia properties market overview from 2015 to 2024. The usual reports that is prepared is always about like 4 years or 5 years only. So I itchy backside, I go and compile everything lah. So I think what's relevant within this 10 years period, right, is the drama that it got. So first of all, the columns, the orange ones are units launched every single year. Then the blue one is the units sold. So in terms of percentage, is over this side of the chart. Then the line that connects all the dots here will be the sales performance. So a few things to take note here first, okay? Now in 2019, you can see this dip here. We all know why. It was COVID-19. That's why in 2020, we see the sales performance drop drastically. Here also we can see the amount of units sold drop tremendously also. And from then on, a very unique behavior is the amount of launches, right? In 2021, 2022, 2023, it's very slow. Why? Everyone is still recovering from the impact, especially people within the industry like developers, contractors. During that stage, right, because of the lockdown, construction costs went through the roof. Like I've mentioned in several videos, the price of a door frame, right, increased about like 6x. Labor costs increased about 3x, and that's because borders were closed. Whatever registered workers that is available within the market, everyone was bidding for them because everyone is just trying to complete the project to avoid LAD. Then within this period, all developers were kind of surprised with the market. So for projects who managed to be completed, right, congratulations, but most of them, profit margin is like 2%, or some even lose money just to complete the projects. That's why within this period as well, a lot of projects are abandoned, unfortunately. Because there's no more oxygen in the tank lah, really. Main con don't have money, developer got no money, too bad lor. As a result, if you look into the chart again, 2021, 2022, the supply macam not very convincing. Even until 2023, we still haven't gone back to the numbers that we get in 2015. 10 years ago, developers still don't have the confidence to launch yet. And here it indicates this. How come people keep saying, for the past 10 years I bought property, right, I lose money, man, right? Within this chart, 2015, 2016, 2017, we were supposed to go for a peak in 2019 one. If you look at the units launch, if you look into the market line, right, technically it was supposed to be the next peak of the market. Unfortunately, COVID hit lah. Everyone who bought any property during these years, 2018, 2019, all lose money based on the assumption that you exit today lah. Then for those who bought in year 2020, 2021, all made money if you were to exit today. The same thing also applies to 2016. So if you can see, there's a sharp drop here. So what happened in 2015? GST happened. GST was introduced in that year. Also, this was the year the cooling measures of 2 residential 90% slot were introduced. Suddenly the whole market tightened, right? Nobody can buy anymore. That's why it was a sharp drop. Again, these are cooling measures to just cool down the market in order to avoid bubble. Then whoever who bought in 2016 will do just fine. So for the first point here is timing matters. I realize nobody speak about the property cycle enough. There will be a dynamic interaction between demand and supply all the time. When demands get too high, property prices go up. When properties go up, every developer sees opportunity. Then there will be a lot of supply, maybe too much at the same time. Then it will be a glut, there will be an oversupply issue. Then maybe they will stop for a while, then it will get into a balance. And within this interaction, a lot of things can happen, like policies, interest rates, tax, and things like that. For example, when they revise RBGT, if let's say government introduce zero RBGT, whoa, the demand will sure go up, man. Then if they revise interest downwards, whoa, demand will sure go up because everybody can afford properties now. But if let's say I were to just restrict every Malaysian only 190% slot, oh, too bad, nobody can buy anymore. Then the demand will drop and drop and drop. So as a property investor, it is always important to look at the direction of the policies, somewhat guesstimate it, but in Malaysia's context, cannot guess on or based on mood one. So how can we then determine whether is it a good time to buy or not? First is to adopt this approach of contrarian thinking. When everyone is very pessimistic, oh, gone case already lah, property cannot one lah, right? You see, when GST is implemented, cannot already, property gone already, don't need to buy already. If you bought at 2016, you will make money. Hiya, COVID, people will feel sure a lot, auction units one. Those who buy a year 2020, right? We made a lot of money. But do we really know that it's going to go up further? Like people who bought at 2016 will think that, oh, the market will continue, right? Wow. But COVID also hit, so that really just compromised whatever profit that they had. So instead of looking at timing, a proper way to think about it is to ensure whatever that we buy at that particular time needs to be compared to the median price of the location versus the rental rates that we can get for the project at that particular time. With that approach, even if we make a decision in 2016 or 2020, or even the peak if we bought at 2019, right, year 2019, once I buy and COVID happened, right, I wouldn't lose too much money. At least there will be a buffer or damage control mechanism to your losses. Because the worst thing is this, the danger of looking at prices going from 2017, 2018, 2019, and it's somewhat very close to what we can see here is 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. It heats up, it gets very exciting, somewhat it's the hype. And when people are in this layer of hype, things get very emotional and they just assume property will keep going up one, then it's very, very dangerous. So is picking the right timing important for property? Yes lah, but it's not like you got a crystal ball, so that theory doesn't really apply in this context. Because just imagine if we are in year 2016 right now, right? Wow, 2015, the numbers just crashed to 2015, right? Nobody is buying. It's one of the lowest ever before COVID. Sure die one. At that time, if you were to buy a property, everybody would advise you not to. But that's also the time when developers are desperate for sales. You get what I mean? The challenge then is, how do we know it won't fall further? That's the tough part. So, a rule again for me and the community is we tie back to the median transacted price, because that will even out, which is the next point I'm going to talk about. So now if you look into the launches and percentage of launches, right, it will go up and down. And developers are like that, right? They are just business people. Hey, wow, this year sales very good, right? Hey, let's launch next year, rush. Let's launch something I'm sure can fly one. So you can see in year 2019 is one of the peak within the past 10 years until COVID hit, right? Next year is almost zero. So as an investor, ultimately property, it's a very, very long-term game. It's not like, hey, I respond to the data, I sell today. Hey, market good, I buy tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. So a better reference of data in this context then will be the HPI, the Housing Price Index. That will be the red line here. It's a more annualized across a decade. Since 1991 again, I think the index starts from 100 and 1991. So you just go accordingly lah, which is more accurate. So we can look at the price actually drops from 2015 over to 2019. Everybody keeps saying that property will forever go up. Not really, okay? But from 2019, if you bought anything after 2019, you feel very, very happy now because it keeps going up from there on. ultimately everybody will still want property, will still need a property. Culturally, we are ingrained with the idea that property is cool, property is important, we must all have property. That's why property will always thrive in Asia. So now looking at year 2024, the amount of launches has reached the level of year 2017, which is the peak already. What does this indicate? So the confidence within developers are back. In other words, they got no choice also, like if not, we close shop, don't build anymore, man. Cannot be, man. But what's more important is also the blue line. The blue columns here are the units sold. So in terms of percentage, we kind of rise about 31% over to 34% in year 2024. Pretty averagely, every 10 units launched is about 3 to 4 units sold on average. So you will have the remaining that is oversupply. That's in overall Malaysia. But it's on the rise. So what will spark this further then? If US drop interest rate, will Malaysia follow? Not really, because Bank Negara just announced we still remain OPR at 2.75 last week. Do you think it's going to go down? I think so. When US revise down, Singapore revise down as well, then we react to the Singapore's rate, only we reduce. And when that happens, this will spike up further. Number one. Number two, if BTS, build then sell, really got imposed, the amount of unit launch will like half or more, only left 30%, but the people buying are still remaining 30% throughout the past 10 years. Market will explode. So when people say that, are we heading towards a bubble? We are recovering from the COVID. That's why I always like to say this. Bubble? We just came back. We just came back to the time of 2016. It was supposed to be the peak at year 2020, but tak jadi. So now, siaran terkendala, we need to postpone about 5 years down the road. So now with e-invoicing also, with all the policies in place, right? I think everything just got delayed further, but ultimately, from a ground level, so now we just dropped the statistical, analytical brain for a while, right? If we walk around Mont Kiara, like within Bukit Jalil itself, or Cheras itself, even Puchong, I'm seeing a lot of foreigners within all this business district. And that's always an indicator for a lot of old birds, right, within the industry. If you start seeing a lot of international folks within addresses that you usually don't see, right, that's an indication that the market is going on the right direction, which is upwards. Okay, don't come and slam me with, hey, this one not analytical, but this one is feel. Looking at the market, it's going this way. So if you go down to the ground, is it that way? Like when people say economy is bad, malls are still packed, Sunway Pyramid, Mid Valley, Pavilion, all still packed with people. Let's see another chart. So personally, I like this chart better because this one more close to heart. This is the HPI for Malaysia. I purposely put in a landed house versus a high-rise comparison from year 2015 to 2024. On the left, this will be the index. On the x-axis, this will be the years. And I feel like I'm presenting a Viva paper. Anyway, so if you look at it just now, if we just tie back to whatever that we've seen on the previous chart, 2016 was the worst time ever after 2015, right? If you look into price changes of the landed house, so landed house is the green color one, the blue color one is the high-rise apartments. 4% for the past 10 years, if you were to bought a landed properties, now you would have already appreciated 25%. Because year on year, average out is about 2 to 3%. So you can see 4% in 2016, but now it kind of get even out in 2023 . But if you bought a high rise in 2015, not too bad also . In year 2024, you will make about 9 to 10%. This is a very cool timeline, these 10 years, right? There has been 2 crashes. One very drastic crash of the century kind of crash. And the median still shows that you make about 10% in 10 years. Well, this is also somewhat the median if you pick the right one. So what does this mean? If you can afford, you want to make money via property investment, you want to diversify your wealth, buy a landed. In Klang Valley, wherever, right, you just buy landed, won't go wrong one. For the past 10 years, throughout 2 crashes, you still make about 25% appreciation. Solid, right? Solid. The only challenge to that is cannot afford only. That's why I always say, if I got money, the best investment strategy is to go every taman and buy all the corner lots. Just buy all the corner lots. sure make money, right? But for those who tak mampu, who cannot afford, like me, what can we do then? Again, back to the previous point, if you were to buy high-rise, because of the abundance of choices, somewhat it dilutes the demand. Like for 100 people who want to buy, it's spread across 25 projects. So maybe for that, I will start doing a remaster of all the previous topics that I've made 8 years ago, because ultimately this channel also 8 years already. Like, wow. I will rediscuss about landed versus high-rise lah, new versus old lah, which one should buy across 4 different channels lah, rental yield or capital appreciation lah, right? So if you guys have those kind of demands of videos, because I'm trying to spice up the channel a little bit, do comment down below on what do you think I should talk about within the channel, within this segment. So back to the chart. If you have bought something in 2015 and 2024 you only make about 9 to 10%, did you make money or did you lose money? I think you 打平波 lah, right? You meaning it's a deuce because you have interest to pay, but just that from an expectation point of view of every Malaysians thinking that property will double in every 10 years, right? I don't know who come up with that story. In that context, then everybody would think that they lose money lah. It's the worst thing ever because you expected 100 here to be in 200 in year 2024, but tak jadi. Even for landed tak jadi. Of course, this is like the worst 10 years to take readings from. But if I were to plot out year 2019 up to 2024, it looks very, very promising. So in conclusion, in year 2025, is it a good time to buy? I think it's going strong because a few things. Units sold, percentage of units sold is going up, means people are buying, people are positive about it. But we need to be very, very careful in the selections of project because the amount of launches also keeps going up. Like if you look into the launches, finally developers are gearing up, finally want to launch, right? That's why we only reach this number that matches the launch number of year 2017. So instead of timing, is 2025 a good time to buy? We need to look at your current state of financial. Are you ready to buy? If you're ready, then where should we buy? That becomes very, very important. And when we buy, which channel we should buy from? And what are the lying opportunities within the market itself? So a mandatory check for all projects before we buy is always compare against the median price of the location and the rental rates. What does this mean? If I'm going to pay about 1,000 per square feet in Mont Kiara, is it a good buy? The common mistake is we will think about the latest launch. Hey, you see, there got project launch at 1,002 leh. If I buy at 1,000 per square feet, right, I made money already. That's not the right way to think about it. Always compare to the past transacted price of the location. You can get this data from bricks itself, you can get from all the market listings and you agak-agak from there lah. This is very important, especially if you're looking around KLCC side. So just because somebody else is launching at 2,008 per square feet doesn't justify your purchase of 2,000 per square feet when the market is only 1,006 per square feet for the past 8 years. You get what I mean? After checking that, the next will be the rental yield. For younger folks, we like to think about how rental rates can cover our installment, right? Because we have the benefit of 35 years loan. For a lot of elder ones, too bad already. So we gotta look at yield. A healthy one would be about 6 to 7% and only proceed if you have the numbers that meet your expectation. But the strategy is still this lah, for me in this very peculiar time. Don't use, if possible, use as little to no money as possible when we buy properties. Always use credit to buy properties, then use the capital on hand to invest in everything else. Like stocks, watches, Pokemon cards, whatever that you're good at and you're confident in. Leverage other people's money for real estate, because if you look into the house pricing index again, averagely is about 2 to 3% a year. That's landed lah. So for high rise, it's about 1% or 2% a year. Comparing that against inflation, does it make sense? Comparing that against the housing loan interest, does it make sense? So in year 2025, personally, I'm still buying only when the comparison of past transacted price and the location median price makes sense along with the rental yield that I want. Because in this time period, the market will start getting into the hype of property will make money. Look into the past 5 years, right? After since COVID, it's very positive. Then everybody, oh, hano, yellow, I think can buy. Then you start buying things that you don't even know what it is. And I guess that's all for today. So in 2025, are you guys going to buy a property? Do share with me down within the comments, and I will see you on the next one. Ciao.